You want to be a copywriter, or at least you want people to think you're one. So you know what? You need to know how to talk like one. And lucky for you, that's what I'm going to be talking about today in this video. In this video, I'm going to do 3 things. Number 1, I'm going to take you through the top 10 terms you need to know as a new copywriter that are really going to help you get ahead and stay ahead of the curve of all the other new copywriters who are trying to get into this. Number 2, I'm going to tell you all of the terms you need to know as a new copywriter. I'm going to go through the whole alphabet and talk to you about pretty much every term I could think of that's going to help you. So by the end of this video, you'll know pretty much the whole vocab that you should have as someone who wants to get into copywriting. And 3, throughout the video and throughout the alphabetized list, I'm going to flash up this symbol. This symbol means important. And when I say important, I mean if you can just remember this definition or this term, that's really gonna help set you apart from the rest of copywriters, even the rest of the ones who watch this video. So if you really want to get the most out of this, then watch all of it, watch for the ones that come up as important, and then amaze clients and your friends and people who are also trying to get into copywriting by slipping the word lead generation into your sentences. Let's get started. Number 1. Copy. Yeah, it's pretty important you know what this means. Usually, copy is used to refer to any text that is aiming to convince a reader to take action immediately. That's kind of what it means in the copywriting world, but in the wider world, copy is sometimes used to just refer to any kind of text that is used in marketing, whether it's trying to convince someone or whether it's just talking about a brand on a billboard. And a quick note on copy. There is no plural of copy that is different. Copy is the plural. So for example, how I would use it in a sentence would be, I wrote some copy today. Or if I wrote multiple pieces of copy, I would say, I wrote a few pieces of copy today. I wouldn't say, I wrote copies today. So just be careful of that because that sometimes catches newbies off guard. Number 2, a sales page. Now, a sales page is any page that the primary purpose of which is to convince someone to buy something. So this is all about presenting a sales argument to a reader, telling them about a product, about a thing, and hoping that they are then going to buy it. Number 3, landing page. All right, there's a lot of confusion about what a landing page is. A landing page is any web page, absolutely any web page, that traffic is deliberately sent to. If I am on the web and I click a link and I land on a page, that is a landing page. It is more of a label than a type of page. Every single page out there is a landing page if you landed on it by clicking on a link. Some people often think that landing pages are like a type of sales page or that there's some kind of thing they all have in common. No, the only thing that they have in common is the fact that someone got there when they clicked a link. Every sales page would also be a landing page, but not every landing page is a sales page. Number 4. The big idea, or just the idea. At its basic level, a big idea or an idea is the single sales argument that you are basing the rest of your copy around. So it is the one thing that you want the reader to believe. That is as simple as it gets. Beyond that, you may get some people debating about what is a big idea versus a small idea, but at its core, an idea is the single focus point of copy. It's the one thing you're trying to get your reader to believe. 5, direct response. So direct response looks like this. The thing that all direct response copywriting has in common is that it's always trying to get someone to take an immediate action. It's not a type of copy, it's not a style of copy. The only thing direct response means is that the aim of the copy is to get someone to take action immediately. Now that could be clicking a link, that could be filling out a form, that could be making a phone call. The point is, it's always trying to get an action straight away. And the other crucial part is that it can be measured, because if you can't measure it, then you don't actually know how effective the message has been. For example, a billboard that has a generic phone number that isn't being tracked and is no different from the company's regular phone number, that can't really be called direct response because it can't be tracked. So you don't really know how many people are doing the thing. The 2 key points of direct response is it's trying to elicit an action immediately from the reader, and you can track exactly how many people take that action. 6, call to action, or CTA. They look like these things. Basically, anytime you want someone to take that action. Buttons, forms, explanations of what to do next. A CTA, or call to action, is simply that. It is trying to push the reader to take the specific action you want them to take. And usually you will find text on a button that says something like add to cart or buy now. That's a CTA. Sometimes you will see text just above buttons that explains what's going to happen after the button. Something like click below and you'll land on the form page where you can fill out your details. That is also a CTA. The thing about CTAs is that they're always trying to get someone to do something. Next, dimensionalization. Now that's a big word and I don't blame you if you just recoiled in terror of what that means. Dimensionalization is all about making your copywriting message feel more real for the reader. For example, if I just was trying to get the point across that you don't have any money at the moment and that sucks, instead of saying you don't have any money at the moment, instead I would say it feels horrible not being able to afford food. That is far more personal and it's dimensionalizing it because I recognize being in that scenario. So it's making it feel more real for me. 8, funnel. Oh man, funnel. A funnel is simply a measurable route that you can take readers or an audience down with some kind of conversion point at the end. Some people will say that a funnel has to be a specific number of pages, there has to be a landing page, there has to be a sales page and a thank you page, and that is a funnel. No, a funnel is just a generic term for any kind of marketing strategy where it's taking people from being a big audience to being a smaller audience and the buyers in that. So it's funneling these people down. We actually have a masterclass on funnel building. Go and check that out on the Copy That YouTube channel after you're done here. 9, the rule of one. The rule of one is something that when you start reading books about copywriting, you will see come up again and again. And there's a very good reason for it. You should only focus on one thing in your copy. But Alex, I have a lot of things I want to say in my copy. There's a lot of different points to make. You need to focus your copy around one main theme. You should be talking to one reader and you should give them one action to take at the end of it that's going to lead to one offer. That is the simplest way to explain the rule of one. The point is to keep your copy focused and not to be jumping around to 4 different ideas, to have 2 different actions you want people to take that's presenting 3 different offers and trying to talk to a load of different people. You want one target reader, you want one good idea that you're revolving your copy around, you want to ask them to take one action, and you want to present them with one offer. That is the rule of one. And 10, the last most important one, is USP, or unique selling proposition, or unique selling point. A USP means unique. Whenever you are presenting a product or a company, the company or the product's USP is something that only they have and that no one else has. If you're selling a water bottle and it is self-cleaning, and you are the only water bottle on the market that is self-cleaning, that is your USP. That is the thing you can highlight as what makes your product unique. And USPs are very handy because they can differentiate your products from the rest of the market. A quick note on a USP, and this is a bit of an advanced tip, but there are 2 kinds of USPs. There are USPs in reality, and there are USPs by perception. A USP in reality would be the self-cleaning water bottle. Yep, no one else does that, therefore it's a real, genuine USP. A USP by perception would be, you may not be doing anything different to another company, but if you're the only person who is talking about a specific point that your company does, and none of the other competitors talk about it, then in effect that is a USP, because you're the only people talking about it. Okay, right, so that was the top 10. Those were all great to know, and it's good you know them now. Wrap your heads around those, do a bit more research online about them, embed them into your brain, and you're going to come across just swell. I'd recommend watching the rest of this video because I'm about to go through a lot more terms that are really going to give you an edge in the world of copywriting, especially the ones that are labeled as important. But without further ado, let's get into the rest of absolutely every single copywriting term that you could ever want to know as a beginner that's going to help you get ahead in your career and hopefully beat out the rest of the people who are watching this video right now. A/B test. An A/B test is a simple form of testing the copy that you put out there in the world. You have a version A of your copy that you wrote, and you put that up somewhere and you track the results that come in through it. You see how many people click through to the next page, you see how many people buy the product, etc. Then you write a different version of that copy that we will call B, and you run the test against A. Say you have 10,000 people coming to A, you will now split that traffic. So you send 5,000 of them to A and 5,000 of them to B. Now you track those results, and whichever does best is the one you keep. Above the fold. Now, this simply refers to the top section of a website that you can see when you land on the page without having to scroll down. You are on it. What is the first thing that you can see on a website without actually having to scroll down the page? That is what we call above the fold. And the reason it's so important is because it's the thing that everyone sees as soon as they land on the page. So you need to make sure it is doing the most work, it convinces people to keep reading, and it presents the action that you want them to take. For most web pages, especially in the modern world of advertising, you want to make sure that the CTA of your page is in above the fold on that page, so people know how to take the action and exactly what to do immediately. Action. This is simply any step that a prospect takes that can be measured. Do they click a button? Do they fill in a form? Do they phone up a tracked number? Yes, then they have taken an action. Advertorial. Now, an advertorial is like an editorial, but it's actually a paid advertisement. So instead of it being impartial and based on news, it's instead just made to look like that, but is actually trying to persuade the reader to click on a link and send them to some kind of product page to buy something. Autoresponder. Now, this can refer to emails, texts, messages that come in a sequence automatically after someone has taken an action. Let's say someone has just signed up to your email list or just bought a product from you, then automatically a software will send them a series of emails based on what they did. For example, a welcome sequence, which is a very common email sequence that you'll get whenever you've bought a product. As soon as you've bought that product, you'll get an email saying thank you, you might get an email welcoming you to the company, and then the next day you might get an email which is telling you about their next best products. That is what we would call an autoresponder. B2B, business to business. Business to business simply means that I am a business selling something, which you will be if you're writing copy, but I'm trying to sell that thing to another business, or the words I'm typing are intended for someone who owns or runs or is part of a business. For example, big supply companies are B2B. They are supplying other businesses with their stock. So if I am stocking up pubs or restaurants with alcohol, then I'm a B2B business. B2B can differ slightly because you need to remember that the people you're selling to sometimes have wider considerations to think about when they're buying something. They need to think about budget, they need to think about how it's going to make the company look. You need to make sure you're taking all those things into consideration when you're selling B2B. This one is important. Backend. Man, okay, this is a very, very key term to understand as a copywriter and also just in your career generally. It's kind of a broad term, but it refers to any copy, any material that you're sending to someone who has already bought from the company. The back end is all about existing customers, people who have already gone past that threshold of having bought something either from you or from the company that you're writing to. They would be referred to as back end, and whatever you send them is back end copy. There's a very important difference between the back end and the front end, which we'll discuss in a little bit. Typically, these people are easier to sell to because they've already bought from you and they already have that implicit trust in the company. So back end is a very important term to know, because also you're going to sound quite professional when you're talking to a business owner about, oh yeah, well that's back end marketing, so we need to treat them slightly differently. Banner ad. So a banner ad is just a clickable ad on a website that usually comes in a box or a big banner up the top. Not much more else to say about that. Below the fold. Now, we spoke about above the fold, so I wonder if you can guess what below the fold is. Yes, you're right. Below the fold is everything that comes underneath that top section of the website. Whenever you start scrolling, that stuff is then below the fold. It's below that initial point of vision. Important one. Benefit. You will hear benefit being thrown around a lot in copywriting, but what actually is a benefit? Well, let's kind of give a hardline definition here. A benefit is the positive function that a feature of a product or service will result in for a prospect. Think of it as the tangible advantage they'll gain by using what you're offering. It's all about what someone is actually getting. What does it mean for them to have this feature? How is that gonna benefit them? Blast email. A blast email simply means an email that goes out to all of your contacts that you have in your email list. Typically, these are used for company updates or for some kind of company-wide sale that's going to apply to everyone. Body copy. Now, we've spoken about copy. What is body copy? Well, body copy is copy that comes after the end of the lead, which I also explained later on. Body copy is often thought of as the point where you begin to focus on proving the idea that you have set up. Bounce rate. Bounce rate simply means the percentage of visitors who landed on a page, but then immediately left the page without taking an action. Brand awareness. Okay, brand awareness is both one, an annoying term used by companies when they don't know what is actually working in their marketing, and two, a genuinely good and positive campaign strategy for a lot of brands. It's often synonymous with the term indirect response advertising. It's more concerned with getting people just to take notice of campaigns rather than measuring any of those direct results. Bullet. A bullet is a piece of copy that is preceded by a bullet point. These are intended to be short. There are a couple of different types of bullets, which we can't cover here, all of them, but the two main types is you have summary bullets and you have fascinations. Summary bullets are most commonly used in e-commerce or just in general life, where people use bullets to summarize things or just to highlight the main benefit. And then you have fascinations, and fascinations are more typically used in the informational product world, where the whole point is you're trying to sell someone on an idea to buy knowledge from you. Call out. This is just a piece of copy, as in a piece within copy, appealing directly to the characteristic, the trait, or the identification of a person. So if I start copy with, "Hey, men!" exclamation point, that's a call out because I am talking directly to men. That could be something demographic based, like man or woman, or that could be something more psychographic or behavioral based. So something like, "Did you take out a credit card recently?" That's a call out because I'm calling out to a very specific group of people who immediately, when they see that, realize that they are the ones that I am talking to. Campaign. Now, campaign is two things. One, it's a generic term for any kind of marketing effort that has a specific goal in mind, usually refers to an overarching strategy, but sometimes campaigns are used in more measured, concise ways. So some people will call email campaigns, i.e. just sending one email. Some people will call Facebook or Google or Instagram or TikTok advertising campaigns because they are one set and they are just trying to get a specific goal. Customer acquisition. Customer acquisition just means acquiring customers for a business. And customer acquisition is important because without acquiring customers, you don't have a business, and more importantly, you don't have anyone you can sell to on the back end. Customer acquisition cost, or CAC. This just means the amount of money that it takes to acquire a single customer on average. You do cost of sales plus marketing budget divided by the number of new customers in a set time period. You do that equation and then you have the customer acquisition cost for that time period. Why do we want to know this? Well, we want to make sure that we're going to make more off of that person than it costs to actually get them in. Claim. Now, a claim is a statement that gets made in copy that directly promises any kind of result, or it presents something as a fact. Now, this usually should be backed up by proof, because if you're claiming something as fact, you better make sure people can believe you and have a very easy way to believe you. And the best way to do that is with proof. Something like, "This will help make you look younger," that's a claim. I need some proof to back that claim up. Show me an image of a woman who looks younger. Show me an image of a guy who is more mobile and is in the best shape of his life. That's what we mean by claim. Click-through rate, or CTR. CTR is simply the percentage of prospects or people who see something, who viewed an ad or viewed a page or viewed an email, who also then clicked the link that was attached to that page or email or ad. If you have 1,000 people see one of your ads and 100 of them then click on it, your CTR or click-through rate is 10%. Close. A close is usually referred to as the final part of copy. It's the bit which aims to encourage the reader to take action. Closing the deal, closing the click, closing the action. You want them to do the thing that the page is there for in the first place. Everything you're talking about in the close is all about just pushing them, nudging them over the edge just to make that action and then to get a result. Okay, another important one, cold. Cold or cold traffic usually refers to an audience or a type of copy that is for or aimed at someone who has never seen anything from your brand before. They're not warmed up to you yet. They are cold. They're distant. They're not sure if they want to be a part of you yet. Whenever you're targeting this kind of traffic, it is always the hardest to convert and to get results out of because there is no existing relationship there. Aiming at cold traffic is all about building that relationship. Content writing. When I say that, you probably picture something like this. Content writing is usually used in reference to copy or written text that doesn't directly aim to make the reader take action, as instead it's viewed more as a brand building or an authority proving exercise. So it's more about value, it's more about building trust, building that relationship, less about getting someone to take an action. There is a kind of schism which shouldn't really be there, because some people think that copy and content writing should be completely separated. Even though people like me and others do kind of use those terms to interchange the two, because they are slightly different in my eyes, they still need a lot of the same skills. You still need to know how to get someone's attention, to keep them interested in what you're saying, and to persuade them to finish reading. Almost all content writing can be enhanced with a simple action at the bottom, even if it's just moving them to a stage of the funnel that is slightly closer, maybe an advertorial or another article that talks more about the benefits of buying a specific product. Control. A control simply means the highest or best performing piece of copy or advertising material. That means when we split test it, when we A/B test it, we know that A, for example, has had the best results, therefore that is the control. And the aim of all of our other advertising is to try and beat that control. Okay, another important one, conversion rate, or CR, kind of similar to CTR. The conversion rate is simply the percentage of page visitors who take a specific action, like buying a product or downloading a lead magnet. Sometimes conversion rate and CTR are used interchangeably. Sometimes people put a hard wedge between CTR just meaning a link that has nothing to do with buying, or a link that's just in an email, and conversion rate just being purchases, but you will see all these terms used interchangeably. For best practice for housekeeping, I tend to only use conversion rate when I'm talking about people who actually buy, who are taking the ultimate goal, and I suggest you do the same. Cost per acquisition / cost per action. Let me tell you first of all what cost per acquisition means. Acquisition used to refer to conversion, used to convert to getting someone as a sale. And we spoke about customer acquisition cost earlier on. Cost per acquisition would just be the formulaic representation of that equation, the amount of money that it costs to acquire a customer. However, some people also use the term cost per action. A cost per action is the same thing, but it could be for any action that you define. So it could be, how much does it cost us to get a click through? How much does it cost us to get someone to fill out this form? How much does it cost us to get a download of our app? That's a cost per action because you get to define the action. And some people will refer to that as cost per acquisition, but if you really want to stick to what it originally means, cost per acquisition means how much does it cost to get a customer on board. Cost per thousand, or CPM, which is really confusing. Thanks, Romans. That just means the total cost of a piece of advertising material divided by the number of impressions made by the thousands. If an advertising campaign on Facebook cost us $100,000 to run and 500,000 people saw that ad, then our cost per thousand would be $200 because we would simply divide 100,000 by 500. That becomes $200. Cross-selling. Cross-selling is the act of presenting a potential buyer or a buyer with the chance of buying a product that is similar to the one that they already have in their basket or they've just bought. It's simply a way to make more money off of people, either when they're about to buy or when they've already bought. The most easy way of seeing this is through Amazon, that you can see here. They always have that section at the bottom that is customers also bought this. That is a cross-sell. It's trying to get you to add more to your basket of things that aren't the same as the product you just bought, but which are similar or that might complement it in some way. Customer value optimization, or CVO. CVO is purely the idea of increasing the LTV of customers, which we'll come on to in a bit, and gaining more customers and cutting the cost of acquisitions. It's all about just optimizing how much it costs to get those customers and how much they will spend with you in their lifetime and how much they buy the first time they buy from you. Demographic. A demographic is just a segment of the population who are grouped together via a shared characteristic. Is it their age? Is it their gender? Is it their income? Is it their education? That is often used in marketing to group customers together so you can market to them more effectively. If I'm selling a Viagra pill, then I'm not going to sell that to 20-year-old women. I'm going to sell that to 50-year-old men. Therefore, I'm marketing by demographic. Desire. This is important. A desire is anything that your prospect actively wants, or they think they will improve their life in some way. So it's something they already recognize as a thing they want. And it's important to understand what the desires of your audience are, because if you can tap into that and you can present them with that desire or an easy way to achieve that desire, then you've basically already sold them, which is why the research process is so important. Differentiation. Differentiation is just the act of making your product or your service or your business appear as unique when compared to others in the same market. Often that is attractive because you seem unique, you seem like you may be the best since you're the only company doing this thing. Direct mail. Direct mail is just a way to actually market to someone using paper mail. This is usually used to acquire leads and gain customers, and it was the most common form of advertising for a good while, because before the internet, the only way to directly get something in front of someone wasn't an email inbox, it was their actual letterbox. Direct marketing. This is just the act of communicating directly with a pre-selected audience. You are sending them something directly, you know who they are, therefore you are trying to send them the marketing material, whether that be through email, through direct mail. The point of direct marketing is you know exactly who it's going to and you send them something that's relevant. Downsell. A downsell refers to a lower priced offer than the one that a customer just bought, and it's presented to a customer after they've just bought something. Let's say you bought, 10 pairs of socks for say $20. After that, you may be presented with something that is slightly cheaper that is like, oh, well, I've just spent $20 on that, so yeah, I have no problem spending $5 on a pair of gloves. That's what we call a downsell. Drip campaign. This is also sometimes referred to as a gauntlet or an autoresponder sequence. A drip campaign is just an email campaign that's designed to automatically send out messages over a period of time. It's not based on behavior after the fact. Initially, someone does something. So, for example, they sign up for your offer. They give you their email for a newsletter. A drip campaign is all about then sending them 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, doesn't matter how many, but sending them a certain number of emails at a certain time intervals. So you know that every day they're going to be getting one, or on day 1 and then day 3, then day 4, then day 9. It's all predetermined and it's being dripped out over a period of time. ESP, or email service provider. Here are some examples of email service providers. These are all software platforms that help you manage your list of email addresses and actually send out email campaigns to people, including the autoresponders, the drip campaigns that we've been talking about. There are a lot of them. They all basically do the same thing as each other, but knowing how they work or just understanding how to use one of them is gonna really set you apart, because if you're a copywriter who can also make a couple emails or easily set something up, you're gonna be very attracted to clients. So ESPs, definitely worth understanding one of them. Evergreen. This usually refers to an automatic marketing campaign that is running continuously and it can be engaged by new prospects all the time. It doesn't matter where this is or when someone sees it, it's always going to be relevant. So it could be an offer for a book that isn't limited to a certain time period. It's not only running in 2021, for example. It's just running kind of forever until it gets taken down, and it could theoretically run forever. It's evergreen. It's out there in the world for people to engage with in perpetuity, so you're always getting sales from it. Exclusivity. In marketing, it's usually presented as a benefit to readers who have the chance to claim an offer that isn't available to everybody, or they get the feeling that they're going to be joining an exclusive group. It's a very powerful emotion that you can appeal to, because if people feel like they're getting something that not everyone else can have, or that they don't have yet, it feels as if you're getting something that no one else has, or not many other people have, and that makes you feel important and that makes you feel good. Eyebrow copy. Eyebrow copy is this. It's the little bit of copy that goes above a headline. It's usually used as some kind of like pre-headline or introduction to the headline, or maybe just as a small proof point above. There's a few different examples, but that is what we mean by eyebrow copy, typically used most in sales letters and long-form sales pages. Fascination. Fascinations refer to any kind of copy in a bullet that aims to intrigue the reader and tease something to them that is interesting or useful or seems like it's going to unlock some kind of secret for them. Feature. Any specific attribute of a product or service. That's really what a feature is. It's just a physical thing or a fact about the thing you're selling. The company was established in 1978. That really is a feature for all intents and purposes. Even though you think of feature as being something as on a physical product, feature can just refer to any fact about a business, because the whole point of features is you then want to extrapolate benefits out from them, which we discussed earlier on. But in a more traditional sense, a feature would be the noise cancelling on these headphones. What's the benefit of noise cancelling on these headphones? It means that I can stay focused in an office environment where I have 50 people talking around me. That was a feature. to a benefit. Flow. Man, okay, flow is used a lot. Either a funnel flow, i.e. the kind of page flow that you can see up here, or a email campaign that's going out automatically or based on behavior. That's what flow typically refers to. Front end. Oh man, another one, and it's the cousin of back end. All right, if you heard what back end meant, you should really know what front end means. It's used to refer to any advertising material that is shown to readers before they've made an initial purchase. Cold advertising that we spoke about earlier, that is all front end advertising, because the people you're showing it to have no relationship with the business. They haven't bought anything yet. It's on the front end. The front end is typically harder to sell to because you're selling to people who haven't yet bought anything from you. It's much easier to sell to people who've already bought something for you. If you are sending an ad out there into the world, you may only get 2% of the people who see it buy something eventually. But if you're sending an ad out to existing customers, you may get 10% of them buy something. You may even get 50% of them buy something, because it's a lot easier because they already understand the company and hopefully they like the product they bought from you before. Front end just refers to anything that comes before the initial purchase. Graphics. Graphics are just design-based assets that accompany copy on pages. Guarantee. A guarantee is any promise that gets made in advertising that customers can use to mitigate risk. If they accept your offer, if they take the action, if they buy the product, then a guarantee makes sure that there's no risk on their part of doing it, or there's at least less risk. You'll most commonly see these as money-back guarantees or free trials or don't pay if you don't love it within 180 days, those kinds of things. Those are all guarantees because you're saying to the person, hey, even if you don't like this, don't worry, we'll guarantee to give you your money back, guarantee to satisfy you. Those are what guarantees are. Another important one, headline. Headline is the most important part of copy. It is the most visually striking line of copy as well. It's at the beginning of any piece of advertising, and it's intended to be seen as the thing you read before anything else. It is used to grab attention, it's used to encourage the ideal reader to read on, and it's used to show them that yes, this is for you. That's what a headline is. Extremely important. Here are some examples. These are all headlines. These are all very good. And it's so important to get headlines right. And yes, we have videos on how to write headlines, so you can go and check them out. Hero section. The hero section often is used interchangeably with above the fold. It refers to the top section of any page that you can see without scrolling. Some people will refer to the hero section just as the very top section, even if you can see some stuff below that. But that's what hero section means. A hook. A hook is used to grab a reader's attention in some piece of copy and implicitly or explicitly promise the reveal of an interesting piece of information if they continue to read. Bring them in, get them to keep reading. That's what a hook is all about. Ideal client. The ideal client is the personification of the perfect member of your target audience. Who do you most want to sell this product to? Who is most likely to buy this product? Those are two questions that you can ask yourself to identify the ideal client. It all comes down to good research. You want to use this as a way to keep your copy focused on the right kind of person, so you're not jumping about. You want to make sure you're only selling to the people who are most likely to buy or the people who the product was designed for. You don't want to lose focus of that. Things that typically are included when talking about the ideal client are how old they are, their gender, where they live, what their job is, the biggest problem they have, what their biggest desire is right now, what their biggest fear is right now, what their objections to buying are going to be, these kinds of things. So ideal client, extremely important to understand if you're writing any piece of copy. Indirect voice of customer data, or IVOC data. IVOC simply means raw quotes taken from the target market that you're researching in contexts where they don't know they're being probed for marketing information. So this is just stuff they're putting out there in the world. YouTube comments, forums, debates, videos where they're just speaking their minds, anything like that, where they are talking about their pains, their problems, their desires, but they don't know that someone is going to be looking at them for marketing material and research. That's what we mean by IVOC. It is all indirect. We're not directly asking people their opinion. We're just looking at what people think and say without being asked. So that's what IVOC data refers to. Lead. So we spoke about how the headline is the most important piece of copy. Well, that was kind of a lie because the whole lead is the most important piece of the copy. Lead also includes the headline. What do we mean by lead? Lead is the introductory part of a piece of copy. So it's the thing that usually includes or follows the headline, depends how you want to define it, but most people say it includes the headline. There is no definite or defined length of a lead. There's no exact criteria of what a lead should be. It's always going to differ depending on what you're writing for and who you're writing to, but at its core, the lead aims to make the prospect believe that reading the rest of the copy is going to be beneficial in some way. The lead is all about establishing what it is you're going to be talking about, why it's worth reading on. Leads are relevant across all kinds of advertising. Do not underestimate them. Lead. Another lead. What? Yes, we split these out because they're both kind of important. In this context, a lead just refers to anyone whose contact information you have and you also have the right to contact. That's usually in an email list, or it could be a phone number. But the point is, you have somehow acquired someone's contact information and they may be a potential buyer. That means they are now a lead who you can market to directly. Two different types of leads, both very important. Lead generation. This is the act of collecting a list of prospects' contact information. That could be through buying lists, as we spoke about. That could be about lead magnets, which we'll talk about next. It's usually done by giving some kind of free value out there or something that people want and saying to them, hey, you need to give me your information in exchange for this piece of information. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. Lead magnet. A lead magnet, kind of like what I just explained, is a piece of content or an offer that can be accessed by a reader, whether that be a free guide, whether that be a newsletter, whether that be a 10% discount, by exchanging it for their contact information like their email address. That piece of free value, that is a lead magnet because we are attracting leads with this promise of free value. Lifetime value, or LTV, the average amount of revenue that a customer will generate over the entire course of their relationship with a business. In other words, how much does an individual customer spend with you before they stop spending anymore with you? That is their lifetime value. The higher this is, the better. You want this to be as high as possible. If I'm selling bars of soap and someone buys one for $5, and that is the average that anyone ever buys, no one ever buys anymore, then the lifetime value of the average customer will be $5 because that's all they bought. But if they end up buying more soap in the future or other products and I'm remarketing to them and they buy other things, and let's say they buy 10 bars of soap and a scrunchie for $7, then their lifetime value is $57 because they have bought 10 $5 products and one $7 product. So their lifetime value before they stop spending with me is $57. Calculating lifetime value can get a little bit confusing because you need to define a specific time period that you're calculating it within. Typically, you need to have had a business running and making a decent number of sales for a year or two before you properly define what a lifetime value is. In a lot of businesses, people will keep spending with you for at least a few months before, or with at least for a few products before they feel like they've had everything they can. Defining a lifetime value is all about finding the average amount that a customer will spend with you before they stop buying from you. Lift. A lift is a message, usually an email, sent to prospects to encourage them to click through to a specific point in a funnel, like a sales page. Lifts are just about getting a click. Nothing else. They're not about persuading someone on the whole sales argument or getting them to buy. They are just about getting someone to click to then go to a sales page that will then convince them. Lifts are also usually used to test different angles to see which ones work best as well. List. It refers to a collection of contacts that a business has procured, usually split into segments based on contact or behavior or characteristics. Another important one, long-form copy. A long-form copy is used to refer to pieces of copy that are longer than a certain number of words. There is no set number for this. This number usually is based on averages. So if your average Facebook ad, say, is 50 words or 100 words, a long-form Facebook ad would be usually double the size of that. Long-form is typically more persuasive because you can get more objections dealt with, you can get a broader point across, and you can explain to people exactly why they should care about what you're talking about. The more words you have to persuade someone, the better your argument is, typically. Another important one, market. Man, you're going to hear this word thrown around a lot. A market. Hey, we should target that market. Oh, that sounds like a good market. Oh, the market doesn't want that right now. Market means a group of prospects who are specifically targeted by campaigns because everyone within it shares a problem or a label in some way. A market is a group of people who share something, whether they share a problem, whether they share a characteristic. Market sophistication. Market sophistication is a scale used to establish how much a particular market has been exposed to advertising around their problem. Weight loss is a fantastic example of this. Weight loss is such a sophisticated market because people have been trying to sell weight loss products for the best part of 40 years now or longer, that so many advertising techniques and strategies have been used that people get wise to them. They know that if you have big red letters with exclamation points saying lose 50 pounds in 2 days, well, that seems scammy to me. No, I don't want that. But that's because beforehand people already made those promises. At some point, those promises weren't being made at all. People started to make those promises, and that was really enticing and like, wow, what? 50 pounds? How is that even possible? Man, I'm going to look at that. But now, because the market is sophisticated, they know that, oh, no, actually, that's a bunch of BS. It's not real. Don't listen to them. They're just going to sell you on something that doesn't work. Or yeah, everyone says that, but nothing works, okay? That's what we mean by sophistication of a market. On the other hand, if you've got a market that is relatively new or that hasn't been targeted very much before, you can use these more simplistic techniques by just promising big things and promising big benefits and making big claims. Those typically are more effective because they're not used to seeing things like that within the market. Micro-commitments. Micro-commitments are statements in copy or small actions on pages that implicitly or explicitly ask for a rhetorical or actual yes from a reader. The implicit version of micro-commitments are when you're asking questions in your copy, things like, man, wouldn't it be great to never suffer foot pain again? You have that in there as a sentence. People think, oh yes, God, that would be. That's a small micro-commitment because they are agreeing with you and they're committing to your way of thinking and they're going along with your line of thought. So the more you can do that, the more likely people are to macro-commit later on, to actually commit to buying or taking an action. The other way of defining it is far more physical, which is a small action on the page. Perhaps it is a two-step order form, and the first step is to enter shipping details. Well, that's a micro commitment because it's not the full thing, they've not bought yet, but they have agreed in essence to give you some of their information, which in turn makes the next step easier. Whereas if we had everything on one page, all the shipping information, all the billing information, all the product details, all the options, that's a lot you're asking them to do in one go, and it's harder for them to make that commitment to filling that all in straight away. Niche. A niche really is used to refer to a segment of some kind, whether that be of a mass market, so you are niching down into a specific piece of a market, or it could be I only write for health, and that could be a niche. Another way is by referring to a specific kind of copywriting that you do. For example, I am an email copywriter. That is a niche part of copywriting. I only do this thing. A niche is simply a segment of a market, usually used to refer to a copywriter's specialist area of copy or the specific kinds of people who you're targeting with marketing. Objection-Claim-Proof-Benefit, OCPB. This is a formula that is used to deal with objections in body copy. You start by acknowledging or just assuming a specific objection. You then state a claim. To counter that objection, you then provide proof about that claim, ideally a few pieces of proof or something that is so authoritative that people couldn't possibly argue with it, and then you reveal an associated benefit with that claim being true. So, for example, let's say your objection is, I don't want to spend so much on the Copy That premium Patreon tier, even though it's $20 a month. But let's just say that's an objection, like, I don't want to spend money on that. Well, if that's your objection, then a claim against that objection will be, if you use this information to just get one more client or to get one more project, then you've already paid for that. The proof would be, Sean is a working copywriter who writes sales letters in partnership with companies like Agora Financial. Alex is the CMO at a health SaaS firm. Luke is the marketing consultant with a huge tech firm, and Rod writes political campaigns for mayoral candidates and focuses on brand copy. The benefit associated with that, not only are you getting people who know a lot about copywriting, but you're also getting to keep up with the latest trends that are working right now in the copywriting industry. Offer. What am I getting for giving you money? And in its simplest form, that's what an offer is. An offer is an explanation or a statement of a full set of deliverables and the supporting bonuses and anything else that may come from a prospect taking action. Don't get kind of tricked into thinking that an offer has to be like a percentage discount or an offer. When we talk about offers in copywriting, unless we are being specific and saying, hey, this is a discount offer, offer just means what is the thing that I'm giving to you and what do you need to do to get it from me. A one-time offer, now they typically look like this on pages. A one-time offer refers to an offer that can only be procured or bought on the page in question, and it won't be available anywhere else at any other time. So it's very enticing for a customer to take you up on that opportunity while they have it, because you're saying, look, this isn't going to be available forever. Get this one-time offer right now. And you get a bonus one, open loop. I'll tell you what an open loop is in just a moment, but first of all, the reason that I am filming this now is because it's only when I edited I realized that I hadn't included this and I'd missed it out. Now, what is an open loop? Well, an open loop was what I did at the beginning of this clip. I implied that I was going to tell you what an open loop was in a moment, so you kept watching because you wanted to find out what it was. An open loop is when you're doing that. You're opening a loop that the reader wants you to close. So they're going to keep reading because they want to find out what it is you were going to say. That can come in the form of what I did just then. It can come in the form of saying something like, on this page, I'm going to reveal the top 3 tips for losing weight without exercising. And the open loop there is, I'm going to, on this page, in a moment. An open loop is always about implying you're going to reveal something in the future. So, open loop, very important. Use them. It keeps people reading in your copy. Okay, back to the scripted programming. Open rate. Open rate refers to the percentage of people who got your email and then opened it. Pretty self-explanatory, but an important note of this is with the Apple iOS 15 update, and who knows, hopefully it will change in the future, anyone who is getting an email on an Apple device or is opening up through Apple Mail, the open rate is going to be skewed because Apple registers as soon as it's been delivered to their phone as being opened. So even if they don't open it, it will register as if it has been opened. So that can skew open rates quite a bit. Opt-in. Opt-in is an option for prospects to submit their contact information in order to be kept updated or to receive a lead magnet, usually via a form or a landing page or an opt-in box or by ticking a checkbox when checking out. An opt-in is all about them giving consent for you to message them in the future, to send advertising material. Order form. An order form is just a form where prospects can input their personal and payment information to purchase, to become customers. It is the catalyst that takes a prospect to a customer. PS, or postscript, was originally used in letters to provide additional information after the sign-off at the bottom, but in marketing, PSs are commonly used at the bottom of sales letters or emails to urge action or to remind people of a specific benefit, or even to reveal a new benefit that they didn't realize, or even just to summarize the sales message. Pay per click, or PPC. This is a type of paid advertising whereby businesses pay a fee every time their ad is clicked by a prospect. I will only pay for that ad to be shown when someone clicks it. So I'm not paying for it to just be seen by people. I am paying every time someone clicks on it. Problem. This is important. Now, a problem is almost opposite to desire, but you can kind of say they're the same thing. A problem is anything that a prospect recognizes as something that they want solved. A problem arises whenever a prospect believes they want a change in their life. When they can see something that isn't right or isn't working or that they hate, it's a problem. Usually it's associated with negative emotions, but you could call a desire a problem. You could say the problem that a reader has is that they don't have that thing right now. There's a problem in every single advertising message. You can always say, well, it's a lack of this thing, or, well, I don't currently have this thing that I want. There's always a problem. Promise. A promise is a statement in copy that tells the reader specifically what the result of using the product or having the service will be for them. So you are promising some kind of result. Proof, very important. You need to make sure you know what proof is, and you need to make sure you are using proof. Proof in copy just refers to evidence that is used to support any claims that is made throughout the copy. And any claim you make, you better make sure you're backing up with hard evidence. So proof is extremely, extremely important to get to grips with. Make sure when you're analyzing copy, look at what proof is being used, look at how it's being interwoven throughout the words, have a look if there are specific sections dedicated to proof. Make sure you are really taking note of proof, because the best closers close on proof. The best copywriters will weave proof into their message without having to search frantically for it after they've made these claims. Prospect. Prospect refers to a potential buyer within a target market who is yet to make a purchase from the business. Prospect is just a word that you use whenever you're talking about someone who you'd like to convert. Research. Oh my God, this is so important. Research is the act of identifying, collating, and organizing relevant information and data from a product, from a market, and from competitors so you can plan and write your copy. Research takes a long time if you want to do it well, especially if you're working on a big project or in an industry that you're going to be working in a lot. You need to make sure your research is thorough and explores everything and explores the product or the company you're selling, the market that you are selling to, i.e. the people who you want to buy from you, and the competitors who are trying to defeat you in the world of marketing. All good copy is built on research. So when people throw around the term research and say, oh, you got to do your research, make sure you are doing it. This is the extent to which you should be doing research. A hell of a lot, okay? You want pages and pages filled with it. As a quick note, if you're only being paid $50 for a single Facebook ad, you don't need to go overboard on research. You don't need to like blow all of your time on it, okay? There's a certain nuance to just making sure you're not doing more than you're actually being paid for. But if it's something you really care about, or you're starting your own business, or you just started a new position, or you're selling within one industry, or you're specializing in some kind of niche, then your research better be thorough. You better make sure you know absolutely everything about the product, the company, the market, and your competitors. Risk reversal. Risk reversal is kind of similar to guarantees we spoke about earlier on. Risk reversal is a technique whereby the reader is made aware that the risk of buying lies on the company, not on them. This is most commonly seen through guarantees. We could say something like, if you don't like it, within 30 days, we'll give all your money back to you and you can keep the product. So the risk is completely reversed. Usually when someone is buying something, the risk is on them because they're trusting you with their money, and there may be not an easy refund process to get that money back. But in this case, we're being so upfront and obvious in our copy by saying that actually the responsibility, the risk is completely on our shoulders. You don't need to worry. This is completely risk-free for you if you don't like what is delivered. Sales argument. The sales argument is just a series of points in sales copy that is used to encourage a prospect to take action. It is everything, really. It's the thing that you are saying. You know, we spoke about the idea, we spoke about fighting objections, we've spoken about how copy is structured, and there are many videos where we talk about all this. The sales argument is kind of the heart of all of that. It's, what are you actually saying? What are your main points? How is that structured throughout the whole copy? How do you weave that through the words that you're writing? That is a sales argument. You need to make sure that it is totally dialed in and you know exactly what it is and what you're saying. Because as we spoke about earlier, the rule of one is extremely important. You need to make sure you're focused, you need to make sure you're coherent, you need to make sure it's congruent with what the prospect has seen before, and you need to make sure it is complete and leaves no stone unturned for them. Sales funnel. Here is where we can maybe start to get a bit more specific on defining like funnels from sales funnels, but again, it's all semantics and it depends. And like I said, we have a great video on sales funnels, so go and check that out. Sales funnel, a linear, measurable advertising campaign that aims to move readers from one stage to the next using predefined and targeted messaging. Usually consists of ads, pages, and emails, but can include any mediums that can also be measured. That's what a sales funnel is. It's all about meeting someone at some point and moving them towards a point of sale. That sale is the key part. Whereas a regular funnel, even though it should ideally include a sale, you could be talking about a funnel that is just a lead acquisition funnel that's just getting someone's contact information, maybe a funnel after they've bought, which is moving them towards some kind of other upsell. A sales funnel is always about getting that sale. Sales letter. If you've seen copy that before, you've probably seen us break down sales letters. Sales letters are typically quite long, usually between 20 to 50 pages, potentially even longer. And a sales letter really comes from the older school of direct mail advertising, where actual letters would have to be sent to people in physical mail and envelopes, and people would get out and they would read them physically. That's where the term sales letter comes from. Now it is also used to refer to long form sales letters that are written in that kind of traditional direct response style, typically in industries like health, financial, relationships, anything that's informational based, where you have to do a lot of selling based on intangible results, where you are convincing someone to be part of something more, or that they have to put a bit of work in themselves. You typically need to do more persuading, so you use a sales letter, which is longer, but that's what a sales letter is. Important, segmentation. Segmentation is all about grouping different parts of a list together based on certain characteristics or certain behavior. Characteristics could be demographics, they could be psychographics, so things that we know about people, i.e. we know they have a specific kind of problem, or we know that they are a 60-year-old female. Point is, you are segmenting based on something. That is characteristic. Behavior could be segmenting based on an action they took. Either they've bought from you before, they clicked on a link in an email, or they gave you some certain piece of information. Segmenting is just about breaking down a list into what are effectively almost smaller lists, because you're going to send that segment a different message than this segment. That's why segmenting and segmentation is so important, because it really gets you to the point where you are tailoring messages to different kinds of people instead of just sending out blast emails or blast letters or blast advertising where you're sending it to everyone. Space ad, much like a banner ad that we spoke about earlier, a space ad, or sometimes known as a SPAD or an insert ad, is a box or a separated item which is inserted into a web page. Some copy, perhaps an image, could be anything. The point is, it is advertising something. And a space ad can be on anything. Squeeze page. A squeeze page is a web page that aims to collect the contact information of a prospect. Nothing else. So it's all about making them a lead. Now, squeeze pages are most typically paired with lead magnets because you're always saying, hey, here's a free piece of value or a piece of content or a discount or whatever it may be. You need to give me your email address to get this thing. Stages of awareness. Stages of awareness are all about identifying where your prospect currently is. How aware are they of the product, the problem that they have and the product that you have? There are 5 stages of awareness, and I'll take you through them very quickly. If you want to know more about it, go and have a look at our other videos because we talk about the stages of awareness. Go and have a look at the fundamentals of copywriting video because there's a big breakdown in there. But 5 stages of awareness are unaware. This means people don't even know that they have a problem that needs to be solved yet. Problem aware, people who understand that they have a problem, but they don't know that solutions exist to fix it. Solution aware, people who know they have a problem and know that there are solutions that exist to fix it, but they don't yet know about your product. Product aware, where the people know they have a problem, they know solutions exist, and they know that your product is one of those solutions. And then most aware, these are people who know they have a problem, know that solutions exist, know that your product exists, and know they want your product specifically. Those are the 5 stages of awareness. You can identify which stage the person you're writing to is in just through research, and you will change your copy accordingly. Subhead. A subhead usually refers to the text directly under the main headline, like you can see up here, which is still cut out from the main copy beneath, but it can also refer to subsequent section headlines, like the ones you can see a bit below that. So throughout the copy, you'll have different sections. You may want to either summarize or fascinate people based on those sections to make it easier for their eyes to see when they're skimming so they can follow the message you're trying to get across, or they can see that this section may be relevant to them. Those subheads are sometimes called crossheads when they're further down the page. Another important one, swipe file. Swipe file is a copywriter's collection of advertising material that they have found to be interesting or that they know have been effective. Many people use this to swipe from, which is why it's called a swipe file. You look at things and adverts that you thought were good, you put them into some kind of folder, a Google Drive folder, a computer folder, save them, and then you look through them and you can take certain parts of them and think, you know what, I'm going to adapt this idea to the piece of copy that I'm writing or to the industry I'm writing for, because I think that's a good idea. That's why we call it a swipe file. Start making one, write the second, and have a look for other ones that people have posted online. Copy that. We have our own swipe file, which you can find at copythatshow.com, and you can see kind of what we mean by swipe file. Target market. We already know what market means. A target market is just kind of defining it as the market that you are targeting. If you want to be kind of detailed about it, you can say that it's a segment of the mass market, which is just everyone, or the mass market in terms of a specific industry, and your target market within it might be a specific group of people who have the same problem or the same they share the same characteristic or in the same demographic. This is usually just synonymous with people who share the same problem that my product solves. Testimonial. You will have seen testimonials many a times online. A testimonial is a positive statement about a product or a business from existing customers. They're commonly used as proof to prove a business's authority or value, or the fact that they deliver on the promises they're making. It's also what we call social proof, in that it's proof that's come from other consumers. So if I am someone who's looking to buy a product, I see that other people just like me have said that it's a great thing, I'm more likely to trust the validity of the product. So testimonials are very commonly used, and you should start looking at how they are used most effectively, where they're placed in ads and on pages, and what they typically tend to say about the products. Upsell. An upsell is the act of offering a customer a chance to purchase something after they've just purchased the main offer. Let's say you're on a website, you've gone to the product page, the checkout, you've checked out, and then immediately pops up this new offer for you, this new product, this thing that you could also buy. That's what we call an upsell, because we want someone to buy more. Value proposition. A value proposition is a clear statement that sums up the benefit and the result of a business that it's promising, i.e., what value are you going to get out of it? Think of the benefits. Video sales letter, or VSL. Well, we spoke about what a sales letter was earlier on. Well, a video sales letter, or VSL, is just a sales letter, but it's presented in a video format. Typically, this is either in an interview format or it's done in someone just reading out the sales letter as if it's some kind of announcement. Voice of customer, VOC. Voice of customer data is super important. VOC means raw quotes taken from your target market for research. What are your audience saying? The people who you want to sell to, what stuff are they talking about? What are they complaining about? What do they like? What do they hate most in life? What are their objections? What are their biggest fears? Who do they deem their enemies to be? Who do they support? Who do they trust? You just want to know exactly from their mouths, in their exact words, whether that be on a forum, on a YouTube video comment section, in reviews, what are they saying about X? Whatever it may be, what are they saying? The reason you do this is because that's where you find some of the best advertising messages. Warm. We've spoken about cold, now let's talk about warm. Where cold prospects have no relationship with you and where cold advertising is going out to people who haven't seen you before, warm usually refers to prospects or groups of prospects or sometimes even customers who have had some kind of engagement with you, have some kind of relationship with the brand, perhaps they've seen you a bunch before. Sometimes people put an extra differentiator between warm and hot is people who have already bought, but for the most part you have cold being people who don't know you, warm having people who do know you in some way. Wireframe. Okay, this is really important for you to know as a beginner. We can't deny that design is important and people care about design. If you just send them a text doc, do they really want to sit there and read like a boring looking document? Probably not. Wireframing is all about mocking up your copy and design elements on a page. So just showing people this is how it would look. This is where some of the copy would go. Wireframes are typically the first stage of design process where a designer will just mark out, right, here is the header image, here is the headline, here is the subhead. But some copywriters just will do it themselves. They'll create them either to help designers or to show clients and to help clients envision how the copy will look once it's uploaded. Whew, okay, man, there you go. That was something like 100 and whatever terms for copywriting beginners to know and be good at the copy and that. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this was useful. Go through the timestamps again at the bottom if you need refreshers on any of this, because that was pretty much every copywriting term you need to know as a beginner to get started. If you have any questions or you think we missed anything, or you want to add any more definitions, just comment them below. And if you would like a written version of all of this, then you can go to copythatshow.com, go into the guide section where you will see a copywriting glossary and you will have all of this written down for easy reference. But I go into a little bit more information in this video because I expand on things and of course I show you examples up here. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you get money and stuff from copy because it's cool. See you later.